What's up, you guys? I'm John Turner, and welcome back to What's the Table. It is Easter Sunday morning. He is risen indeed, and we have so much to be thankful for on this day. The promise of hope and new beginnings, and the birds are chirping, the grass is finally starting to turn green, spring has sprung out here. I'm in a little bit of a hurry because I'm racing the weather. It looks like a storm's blowing in. I don't want it to rain on us. I'm out here building a plant box for Afton to put outside the bay window outside our kitchen where she can put herbs and spices. And in a little bit, we're also going to plant some vegetables in our garden that we're going to use in our meals for the rest of the year. And I'm so excited to get this started. Hope she enjoys it. We got to get going and beat this rain. Let's get started. All right, so the idea here is just to make this box very, very simply. I'll post the parts list and the dimensions for the box probably over in this area. So you guys can see exactly what you need. I bought all the materials for this at Lowe's yesterday. It's really not expensive. It scales really well, and it should be really easy to build. So the first thing that we're gonna do is just start with a couple of pieces of our 2x4x8 treated lumber. And in our case, we're gonna cut this box to be 14 inches off the ground because that's just where Afton wants to put it in between two of her big potted plants. So we're gonna cut a bunch of sections of these to make up some L-shaped or R-shaped, depending on your perspective, corner pieces that are gonna help frame this box up.
Can we see that flexibility again? Nice.
I heard the Summer Olympics were postponed. Whenever they resume, I'm in contention, baby.
You're gonna feel that tomorrow.
All right, so we're gonna go ahead and make up 4 of these corners. You need 8 pieces of this 14-inch, and then you just put them together in those L shapes and screw them together with a couple of 2-inch screws. Ooh.
Protection for my eyes.
So I've got a piece of 4x8 OSB board, 7/16 of an inch thick, and we've gone ahead and ripped that in half to 2 24-inch widths just to make it easier to manage getting home from the store. You only want this box to be 14 inches high, and so we're going to cut a strip out of this that's 14 inches wide, and then we'll cut the various lengths in order to wrap around the sides of the box and then make a box bottom out of it as well. Just to make sure, because I don't use skill saws that often, to make sure that my line stays straight as I go down, I've cut like I guess you call it a jig. We're going to use another 2x4 to allow enough space at the end of this skill saw between the saw blade and the end of this guide, so that I can just run this skill saw against the 2x4 the whole way down, and it'll stay straight as an arrow. In this case, it was about 1.5 inches worth of width between the saw blade and the edge of the guard, so I took 14 inches and then another 1.5 inches and screwed the board down.
Always make sure you wear eye protection.
That's right.
I'm just gonna go get sunglasses for this. It's starting to rain now.
All right, so it's starting to rain. We may not actually get this thing finished. As I said, we want this thing to be 24 inches long, but the OSB itself is 7/16 of an inch wide. So I'm gonna leave this, I'm gonna cut this piece 24 7/8 to leave enough overhang on either end in order to, thank you very much, in order to flush mount with the side pieces as well. So watch your fingers. Now I'll show you why Daddy uses a jig when he cuts over 8 feet. See how wobbly this piece is. Now I need a piece, now I need a piece that's 12 inches wide in order to make up the first side. This can be a true 12 inches because the overhang to make your flush corners is going to come from the front and the back. Side piece.
Hey, I'm your side piece.
Are you?
Well, I'm the main piece.
You're my main piece. So we're gonna go ahead and make up the frame of the box. We use this 24-inch piece of front face. Go ahead and fit it to one of the corners and just make sure you use a piece of this OSB to make sure you get the overhang right, and we'll just screw it into place. Now we'll continue on around and just attach each piece of facing with the 12-inch piece on the sides being the piece that's recessed inside the front and back. Last step. We'll go ahead and countersink 4 holes on the front. Box. Near done. It needs a bottom, doesn't it? Mm-hmm. All right, so to attach our bottom, I'm just gonna use the last piece of scrap that I had out of that OSB and go ahead and screw that on here. And it's not actually long enough to cover the entire bottom. That's actually okay, because this isn't intended to be waterproof on the bottom or watertight anyway. We're gonna come and punch a bunch of holes in here for the water to drain out as you're watering the plants. And so a small seam or a crack here, I will cover this with another piece of this OSB, but a small crack is not gonna hurt anything or anybody. All right, so this is overhanging this edge, so we're just gonna take the skill saw. This is actually the back of the box that you really won't see, especially once we cover it over with the distressed wood that Apple wants to use the decorative covering on the outside. So if the skill saw blade happens to score this or scratch it, it's not gonna hurt anything. Okay, so now our patchwork bottom installed. Now we just need to come through and punch a bunch of holes and make sure that there's adequate drainage in here so that the bottom won't just be full of water. Plants will rot, wood will rot, children will scream, worlds will end, it'll be terrible. All right, so upon further review, I forgot to put feet on this thing. So you have 2 options here. You either could have cut the floor and notched around, cut the corner pieces longer than 14 inches or the desired overall height of the unit, and had those just stick down out of the bottom, notched around those with a jigsaw with your actual bottom piece of OSB. That's a little bit too intricate for my taste, so and I did forget about it. So I'm gonna grab a piece of this scrap 2x4 and just cut a couple of pieces of, honestly they don't need to be more than probably an inch, just to raise it up off the ground a little bit, give that water some place to go when it drains out of there. So I'm just gonna pick some random distance and then use that as my template to cut 3 more feet, and we'll screw those right onto the bottom of these 2x4s. This thing wobbles when I turn it over. It is 100% because my patio is not level. Mm-hmm. It is not my carpentry. Solid as a rock. All right, so we didn't beat the rain. We had to make a mad dash to break everything down and get it inside ahead of the storms. It was pandemonium out here for a little bit, but I guess what else is new, right?
What's new?
One kind of crazy or another. So we're out here day 2. The weather's a little bit better. Clouds are coming and going, and we're supposed to get rain here in a little bit. But we're gonna get this thing finished. We're gonna have plants in the ground tonight.
We're close.
In the box. Yeah, we're close. We'll get the kids started on planting some of the tomatoes over in the section that we've carved out for our garden. We're gonna finish up putting some facing on the box itself. We decided, talking about overnight, that we're gonna use some shiplap just to make it look a little bit better on the outside of the box. Finish that up, put some shiplap around the top of it. It's gonna look great. Get these plants planted.
Let's go.
See, we'll make up 3 of these per side, and with this kind of tongue and groove, it's more of a latching system. These things will fit together just like so. And the height of the box makes it perfect for these 5.5-inch width boards, so you can just put 3 of these from top to bottom, and we won't even have to cut any of the grooves off. So it's actually going to work out perfect.
Mommy, why does Daddy have glasses? Why does Daddy have white pants?
These are safety glasses, baby. Anytime you're using a power tool, particularly when you're shooting something with like this air stapler, you want to have safety glasses on so it doesn't get in your eyes. Pro tip.
Pro tip.
So when you're doing this, just make sure that you get it lined up flush with each board as you go all the way around, and use another piece of wood to make sure that it's flush with the top and the bottom to true up all your corners. So much easier than trying to do this with a drill, I'm telling you. So much better.
Liking your new tool?
See, these home projects are not always just blood and sweat. It's not all bad. We get to get new tools. I've been wanting a stapler for the longest time, and now I can use it on all kinds of stuff around the house. This is awesome. All right, so that's it for all of our side faces. And now we're gonna put some finishing pieces, same shiplap, right on top. Finish off the look of this thing, get it filled up with dirt. Okay, so both of the long pieces on the top wound up being about 28 3/4 inches. These side pieces wound up being about 9 inches. And we could have gone with 45-degree corners on this, but you know, I've been at this for a while. We've been dealing with inclement weather, and I got a little bit lazy. So we're gonna do this because it's a little bit faster. So we're gonna go ahead and tack these things into place. We use some shims to shore everything up, just to make sure that the top stays nice and flush. Keep getting it. Looking good. On to the next step. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and stain some of these raw edges where we cut with the saw, just to finish this thing out. We got some wood stain. It's called Jacobine 2750. Yeah. It looks a little bit dark going on, but we're trusting this is gonna soak in and lighten up. The can looked like it was gonna match the shiplap really well, so we'll see. Otherwise, we're gonna wind up with some really dark edges. Over time, I guess it's probably not gonna matter. We're gonna get this thing finished out, plant our plants, be good to go. All right, so I told y'all we were gonna have plants going in the ground tonight. We've already had the kids over there working on tomato plants. We've got herbs and spices going into the box tonight. I'm so excited. This is finally coming off with all the challenges of weather and everything that we've had, but it's all coming together. It's great to just be out here doing this together. If you got something on the honey-do list, or you got a project or some surprise in mind for your significant other, like we did here, get your kids involved. Show them how to use the tools, show them how to build things, and teach them about the importance of doing things for others. Teach them about growing things. And just respect for nature and being in the outdoors. And who knows, you may teach them something they take with them later in life, and something that becomes a passion or an interest of theirs. But for us, this is definitely an interest and a passion, because we're gonna get in here and show you guys how to cook up a fresh mozzarella dish. You're absolutely gonna love it, whether it's an appetizer for you, whether it's a dinner for you, or you're cooking it for a bunch of people when they come over. You start getting tomatoes out of your garden and spices out of your garden, or out of your boxes that you built. We're gonna show you how to cook this up. It takes like less than a minute to fix it. You're gonna love it. All right, so we've shown you how to build the herb and spice box where you can grow things that you can use in your recipes all year long. We planted a few tomato plants, and we're gonna show you, before you go, how to make an awesome appetizer, or even a really clean and fresh meal for yourself. If you're having people over for dinner, this is a really good appetizer. It scales well, it presents really well, it looks fancy, even though it's absolutely just the most simple thing that you'll ever make, and it's delicious. So take some tomatoes that you've grown in your garden, add a little bit of fresh mozzarella, just like this. Add a little bit of balsamic vinegar glaze. This stuff's really thick, so it takes it a second to come out. Fresh chopped basil leaves. Oop, that one got away from me a little bit. A little bit of fresh ground pepper. And serve that up to one very happy wife, I promise you.